Hello folks, this is HitmanVonDoom, and bringing you another comic book video. I haven't done one in a while, because I've been busy with school, but good news is I graduated! So, yes, I graduated folks, so I'm happy, I'm done. And also, it was a good weekend. I graduated this weekend, and, well, yeah, this weekend, the weekend I just passed. And I also got to see the Avengers movie, which was pretty badass as well. And if you haven't seen it, what are you doing watching my video? Go out and see it, folks. Anyway, on to these comic books. Now, back before, I got a bunch of Uncanny Xmen comics that I'm starting to get around to reading. But first things first, as you'll notice by the opening of the video, this is one of the hauls that I got. It's the Marvel Legends action figure of Magneto. Right there. And as you can see, right here, a little closer up, you could kind of see I have him posed like this. The helmet could come off as well. It's a nice little action figure of Magneto. Good old, I got this for a pretty good price. Nice, good old fashioned Magneto action figure. It's pretty badass in my opinion. Maybe not everyone else's, but yeah, I like the figure. Pretty badass. It's posable. I'm a huge Magneto fan, as you know. Cape's nice. Good old Marvel Legends Magneto. So I'm really happy about this. Now on to the comic book. Uncanny X-Men. Oh, let me move that up a little bit. Uncanny X-Men 151. Oh yes, I finally got around to starting reading some of these. And like I said, I'm trying to get all the Chris Claremont's first run, which when I get to Uncanny X-Men 94 and Giant Size X-Men, I think that's going to be impossible to do. But anyway, Uncanny X-Men 151, folks. One of the hauls that I've got. A pretty good issue. And this one, the White Queen, Emma Frost, manages to dupe Kitty Pryde's parents into having her come to her school, so that's her leaving and crying. And the issue is pretty solid overall. Definitely worth checking out. Her at the end, her and the White Queen, which is Emma Frost, by the way, ends up switching bodies with Storm, believe it or not. Pretty cool issue. My next issue, Uncanny X-Men 152. And as you can tell, this one actually came in a Mylite bag, a little Mylar bag, which, Mylar makes everything look good. And there's Emma Frost and Storm's body, and Storm and Emma Frost's body, and this is kind of a continuation. They're each trying to get adjusted to their powers, and like I said, it's a really solid issue. Sebastian Shaw ends up getting pwned. They end up switching bodies, and it's a really solid issue. And again, it's a backset that's worth checking out too. It's a pretty solid issue, pretty cool to see them switch bodies, and Storm is dressed as a White Queen, even though it's technically Emma Frost in her body, so it's pretty interesting. Our next issue, Uncanny X-Men 153, again in a Mylar bag, and this, as the title says right here, something completely different. It's pretty much, that's exactly what it is. It's something that's completely different. It's like a completely different issue, because it's really not. This is something that's, I guess, what you would call a filler. This is a filler issue. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's a filler issue. That's what it is, and it's pretty much Kitty Pryde telling a bedtime story to Ileana. I think that's how you pronounce it, Colossus' sister. And that's pretty much all this issue is about. It's by no means a must get, but it's by no means worth checking out. And I wouldn't spend the money like $10, $5, whatever on this issue for a backstop, because nothing incredibly major happens. But still, it fills in a hole of my Uncanny X-Men. Yep. Uncanny X-Men 215. Yes, I know I skipped a few, but I kind of got those earlier where I shoot before. And this is Uncanny X-Men 215. And there's a Crimson Commando, Super Saber, and Stonewall. And the thing about this issue is that pretty much Storm interferes with them. The power of the Storm finds out that they're like tracking outlaws and actually, capturing them and killing them. And she has a problem with that, but she ends up getting forced to participate in their little sick, twisted hunting game. And that's pretty much what the issue is about. And also in this issue, Wolverine kind of goes insane because he smells the scent of Wolverine of Jean Grey and ends up going berserker and like ends up backhanding Storm and knocking her out. Pretty fun. So a pretty solid issue as well. Next issue, 216. No more Mylar, folks. Regular, good old-fashioned polybag. And let's see if I can lower the camera. Oh, that's not gonna happen. Oh well. Anyway, Crimson Commando, and this, as you can tell, Storm ended up battling the Crimson Commando. The partner that she was in, who was a lowlife, ended up getting killed by. Oh, he ends up getting killed, rightfully so, and there's not any love lost between that. The person that she was with, Storm, was a pretty lowlife, but Wolverine comes to her senses, and they end up having a showdown, and Storm pretty much kicks the living daylights out of. Well, not the living daylights, but she kicks the daylights out of the Crimson Commando, and she ends up forcing him to turn himself in. And that's pretty much his issue. A pretty solid issue, but again, not a must pick up. Next, Uncanny X-Men 217. And we have someone that I don't like on the cover. Not Juggernaut, Dazzler. I don't know what it is about Dazzler, folks, but for some reason, I just don't like Dazzler. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is about Dazzler. I just, for some reason, don't like her. But anyway, Dazzler, attempting to prove herself, goes after the Juggernaut on her own. And Juggernaut's a fan of Dazzler, actually, and needless to say, she's outmatched, and she holds her own, but in the end, she ends up doing herself in. Okay, cannot believe Dazzler, of all people, went after the Juggernaut in this issue. Definitely worth checking out, folks. Uncanny X-Men 218. Another issue, and this time, this is what I call this is a new look of the X-Men, by the way, folks. Because this is when, Colossus was severely injured, Nightcrawler was severely injured, and Kitty Pryde was severely injured in the Mutant Massacre, so you have a new look of X-Men featuring Psylocke, Dazzler, Longshot, and that's pretty much it. And it's pretty much them versus Juggernaut. And this was a solid issue, folks. This was a very solid issue, and he actually ended up beating Juggernaut in this issue. The combined effort of all these people ended up beating Juggernaut. Now that was pretty awesome to see, and it was a pretty solid issue, worth checking out as well. This issue, Uncanny X-Men 219. 219, right there. And as you can tell, the classic line, "Welcome to the Action Havoc. Hope you survived the experience." Always, when a new X-Men joins, they always put that. They always put that. And as you can tell by this deranged look here, and it's not, I don't know what, it's kind of, this issue was a little confusing because I think something might have happened in the past between Havoc and the X-Men, and they did something to Havoc's mind to make him forget, but he kept remembering it in the dream. And pretty much what happens is Havoc keeps having these nightmares that the X-Men keep coming to, kill him or something like that. And he's with his wife, Lorna Dane, and he finally gets up the nerve to go check what's going on at the Xavier Institute. And pretty much he ends up finding out that the X-Men are on hard time, that, a lot of the core members, have been really injured, and he ends up deciding to join the X-Men. That's pretty much the issue. And Lorna Dane, I think, actually gets attacked in this issue with Polaris. And it plays on later into a storyline. Trust me on this, folks. Next issue, Uncanny X-Men 220. And that's 4. It's just all leading up to the fall of the mutants. And this one, Storm finally works up the nerve to go after Forge to try to get her powers back. Because as you know, Storm and Forge's weapon end up taking her powers away. So she ends up actually going to find them. And all she finds up is this guy, Naze, who's been pretty much taken over by this evil spirit who's going to set into motion the fall of the mutant storyline. When his ultimate plan, the guy is to destroy the world and create a new one. And she doesn't know it, and she's pretty much being manipulated by this guy. And that's what this issue is about. Decent, but not by any means a pickup. I have an annual, Uncanny X-Men annual number 11. And this one, surprisingly, was a very good annual. And I don't say that because a lot of annuals are, for some reason, for me personally, a lot of annuals are usually overpriced. And they're just not worth the money. But this one, this one I did get in a lot. with all those Uncanny X-Men. But yeah, this one was very solid. This guy right here, it's pretty much trying to take over the world, or it's like taking over the world or some sort of test. And the X-Men go to fight him, and each of the X-Men face trials, especially in Captain Britain guest stars, but each of the X-Men face trials, like do they want to live this life and enjoy the temptation, or do they continue fighting on this guy? And it's such a good issue because Wolverine, it is the anniversary of Wolverine, like, alleged marriage to your Mariko, and he's, like, really down in the dumps. And so he ends up fighting this guy, and he manages to end up beat this guy who's, like, pretty much so super powerful and just completely destroys the other X-Men. And it was interesting that the issue ended that it was a test, actually, that the human species, that if they get this realistic power, that what would they do with it? Are they use it for their own good, or would they just set it back? And it was a test that those who set it back, their species stayed the same. They remained unevolved. While the species who, like the humans, who in this case Wolverine represented, who since he won, if they ended up winning and they put it back, then their species was allowed to continue changing and evolving. And it was a pretty solid annual. Definitely worth checking out. Uncanny X-Men 221. Solid issue. This one and the next one, folks. 221. And as you can tell, Havoc gets overloaded and shoots Wolverine with his plasma bolt or something like that. But this one is the X-Men versus the Marauders. And this is for the fight of, pretty much, they're trying to acquire Madeline Pryor. And Madeline Pryor at this time is falling on hard times because, one, her son Cable is missing, and two, Cyclops. And if you need another reason to hate Cyclops, you'll find out this is a good reason. Cyclops left her. When Jean Grey came back to life, he ended up leaving her without giving her an excuse, giving her a word. And, Madeline Pryor was attacked by the Marauders, was put in, was sent to the hospital. It's need to remind, this is the mother of Cyclops' child. He just leaves her. The Marauders attack her. The X-Men are the ones who are defending her, and Cyclops is nowhere to be found. He's nowhere near defending, the mother of his child. He doesn't call, doesn't do anything. And that's one of the reasons some people, like me, don't like Cyclops, because of that. And that's, if you need another excuse to hate it, that not like Cyclops, that's another one. But, yep, 221, very solid issue, folks. And 222, continuing 221, another fight versus the Marauders. I'm telling you, those two issues are very, very solid issues. They're fun. And it's just X-Men versus the Marauders, and it's so good that Wolverine, stabs Sabretooth right there. He stabs that little jerk. It was so gratifying to see that, folks. Very solid. And the end of rescue Madeline Pryor ends up actually becoming part of the X-Men, believe you or not. Anyway, Uncanny X-Men 223. Here's another one. This is continuing the story with Storm and Naze. She's pretty much trying to find Forge with that evil spirit, her being manipulated with the spirit, and that's pretty much about it. It's just setting up for the fall of the mutants. And that's pretty much it. Nothing incredibly special here, folks. Just Storm, showing that she doesn't need her powers to kick ass. So, yep, 223. Uncanny X-Men 224. Right there. Again, this issue just takes a filler issue, what you would call. It takes place, I believe, in San Francisco, and it's nothing incredibly major happens here. So it's an issue that you can skip. That I would say, it fills holes. It does fill my hole in my collection, but it's nothing special. So you could go probably about find a better backstock than this one. And then Fall of the Mutants begins here. This is a huge crossover event, folks. Oh, yes, that's what happens in this issue. Storm ends up finding out that that guy, Naze, was evil and double-crossed. Yep. Anyway, Fall of the Mutants. Mystique knows that the X-Men are going to die, and she's so concerned with Rose, because that's her adopted daughter, that they end up fighting. And they soon realize that there's like a larger force at work, and so they decide to put a truce together. And they end up battling, but they decide to put a truce. And it was pretty funny that, the Blob ended up squishing Wolverine. And then Wolverine ended up poking him pretty much in a bud with his claws and ended up popping him up. But solid issue nonetheless. Worth checking out. The Colossus makes his return in this into the Uncanny X-Men, which is pretty solid as well. Yep, so solid all around. Uncanny X-Men 226. Continuing Follow the Mutants. This one, Storm is on her way to getting her powers back. And I think in this issue she actually does get her powers back because Forge creates the device. And in this issue, like, they're still continuing the truth, but in the end, the X-Men end up getting trapped in there, in the building that's gonna house this evil spirit. And they end up getting trapped in there. Mystique and the Freedom Force are on an outcast. Dazzler is blind because of the previous issues. The Spiral ended up putting some spell on her and some sort of mask. So, again, another solid issue, and it's pretty cool to see Madeline Pryor, who has no powers, just going with the X-Men. Pretty cool to see that. So, yep, is this one. And then Uncanny X-Men 227. This is the death of the X-Men. Pretty much, they end up fighting this evil spirit, and the evil spirit cannot tolerate iron. So Longshot, they come up with some brilliant plans. Longshot ends up shooting him with some iron, and you can see Storm has her powers back. Longshot shoots him with some iron, and they figure that out. And Colossus, as the organic steel comes, and ends up destroying his bodily form. But in order to cast him away forever into this tablet, Forge has to do this spell. He has to do some sort of spell, and pretty much, it requires the sacrifice of the X-Men because he did the spell in Vietnam and it needs 9 souls, including Madeline Pryor, by the way. So it requires 9 souls, and he puts them away, but the X-Men get resurrected at the end by the other person who's opposing him. There's really, I don't remember, Roma, that's her name. So yeah, it's again, a solid issue, worth checking out. And this one, Uncanny X-Men 228. Everyone believes they're dead, but that's the way they want him to believe. Kind of like David Banner. The world must believe he is dead. But same thing. Same thing here. The Uncanny X-Men, this is an issue with Dazzler and Wolverine, pretty much. That one, it's like a flashback issue. Her friend is having some trouble with the law, and he didn't do it, so Wolverine and Dazzler go check it out, and they find out that he's being framed, and it's just this whole conspiracy issue. Wolverine ends up wounding this one guy that's pretty much that they're going after, and the dog ends up killing him. And he's like some sort of demon dog, so it's not a normal dog. But again, it's another very solid issue, another standalone issue that you can have with Dazzler and Wolverine. It's not Dazzler that makes this issue, it's Wolverine that really makes it really good. So yeah. And there you go. That's pretty much been on my, I guess, Uncanny X-Men haul / an action figure haul. And it's been so long since I did a comic book video. It's been almost a month. I'm so happy to be able to do that again. So anyway, thanks for watching, folks. And again, if you haven't seen The Avengers yet, stop watching my video for Pete's sake and go see it. Trust me, you will not be disappointed. And anyway, folks, thanks for watching.